broadcasting around the world. This is the Hard Asset Money Show. Your wealth, your money, your future. Serious talk about what's happening and how you can profit. Live in 3, 2, 1.
Today we are starting something new. We're going to start today's Voice of Reason with Christian and Mandy. It's going to be a weekly rhythm for people in a very short period of time to get some really important information, quick takeaways, and action items. And that's why we're here today. So welcome, Christian and Mandy. Glad you're here with us. Today is Tuesday, May 7, 2024. We got some late breaking news, so I'm going to turn it over to you and have you share what you think we need to hear about today.
This podcast is brought to you by Hard Asset Management. We have the guaranteed lowest prices on all precious metals and rare coins. Call us at 844-426-4653. That's 844-426-4653.
Well, for me, thank you, Dave, for letting us be on here. Mandy and I love to do our, this is a great idea, a great segment. It segues into a much larger opportunity, but I think, and Mandy knows what our topic today is going to be about, the integrity of the election. And then 2, what if Michelle Obama runs for president? And what does that mean? So Mandy can talk first a little bit about the 2020 election, what she saw is evident. And then we know that that's going to be a limitations now because there's a lot of eyeballs on the integrity of the election, the ballots, and how they're counting them. But Mandy, why don't you just kind of inform everybody a little bit about what happened in 20, and hopefully this won't happen again. But then again, now we've got Michelle Obama. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, we saw in 2020 what I saw firsthand. This isn't something I heard. This is what I saw. And I actually, when I posted about it on Twitter, my account was flagged in the ways that we now understand. I was on the list to where that information wasn't necessarily getting out. All that's been exposed and changed once Elon bought Twitter and then transformed it to X. But in 2020, I was a part of the Team Trump attorneys, and I was sent to Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. And I was a part of what's called the canvassing, where representatives from the various campaigns go to watch what's going on. Now, of course, 2020 was like none other because of COVID. And what the left really did that we know now is they used COVID as an excuse to violate state constitutions and change voting laws. This was most predominant in Philadelphia. And actually, a month or so ago, there was a major win at the local level where I believe it was the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, that could be the wrong court, I can double check that, but a high court in the state of Pennsylvania agreed with what we were arguing at the time, that you cannot change voting laws last minute. It violates the state's constitution and their whole voting, their system of integrity that they've worked to try and build. They undermined all that. We were making those claims back then, and it's all come to fruition now. So what's the remedy? Well, it's hard to say because the election's passed and Biden's in the White House. But nonetheless, what I saw on the ground, Pennsylvania, all sorts of shenanigans. Everything was just a show. I saw votes coming in. I saw votes being counted and votes going out. And when I asked the gentleman who was in charge of the whole voting mechanism, I see the votes coming in. I see they're counting very efficiently. I understand that's part of the machine. But where are those ballots coming from? There was a door that would open up, and there was a locker, and they would go in, and there was this big show to unlock the locker, and then the vote counters would grab these baskets full of ballots, and then they would run them through the machine. So that's what I saw. But when I went and I asked, where are those coming from, and then where are they ultimately going? The gentleman threatened to throw me out. And that's my job. That's really why I was there. That's part of what a canvasser is supposed to do. And he used COVID as an excuse, and I would potentially violate the safety and security of people there. And that wasn't information I should have been privy to. And so that was weird thing number one. I remember being in that situation, and I just thought, this doesn't seem right, but I can't quite put my finger on it, but this doesn't seem right. The second thing is, I was after the election, we went through provisional ballots. And on the Pennsylvania ballot, there are 4 pieces that have to be filled out for the provisional ballot ultimately to be counted. There were many provisional ballots that I I raised and I questioned as not being valid. They should not be counted as valid because they were either missing an affidavit signature where the signer, the voter, swears that they had not voted in another, they had not submitted another ballot. So if that was missing, you're supposed to immediately cancel it. The other things that I raised is that the signatures didn't match. There were a lot of ballots I saw where the signature on the ballot didn't match the one that was in the records, like you give when you get your driver's license. That's all in a system that you can compare. And the third reason was that the address for the voter was clearly not in the precinct where they're supposed to be voting. Some of them were California, some of them were totally out of state. So I'm one person who was a part of a team of about 10 people in one county in Pennsylvania. And I would say over the course of about 5 days, I looked at hundreds of ballots, and I would say, being conservative here, small c conservative, 3% should have been thrown out on their faces invalid. One person. So just add that up with 10 other people, more votes, one county. Just you can add that up on some level. It's a significant amount of votes if you think about it, potentially.
Mhm.
But the ones that I saw, and then at the end of the day, a judge summarily dismissed all of the objections, making some claim about out of town lawyers trying to come in and interfere with their local elections, which that's actually a role that's important and a part of the process. So I went into detail on that. I saw that. I raised concerns about it. I tweeted about it, and I was censored in ways that I didn't understand then. But I was also seeing and witnessing a part of this structure that the left had concocted with, you've heard of Zuckerbucks now, I'm sure. All of this was concocted and organized to make it easier for Democrats to rig the election against President Trump. I saw that firsthand, and now they're taking it a step further. So, Christian, I'll pitch it back to you because there is an interesting article that came out this morning that I think it's the left is starting to tip their hat just a little bit with regards to some of the shenanigans that we're going to see play out, all designed to rig the election against President Trump and try to maintain their grip on power.
Yeah, so there's an article, and well, let me take a step back. Thank you, Mandy, for that. That's a great overview because that gives some people some insight of what happened. And now we move forward. I mean, there's a lot of eyes going to be on this stuff. So there was a article that was an update or report that Michelle Obama put out that said she is not going to be running for president. Now, she stated that a number of times over the last 5 months, 6 months, give or take. And it seems to be credible, right? Credible, because she consistently kept saying that and has said that I'm not going to be run. Well, I will not be running as president. Now, does that mean she's going to run as vice president? Because that's not been the option or the question that keeps coming up. But so here's what we got. March 5th, she also put, I'm not going to be running then. She put out a later one just in the last 3 days. It says, I'm not going to be running. However, the very next day, yesterday on May 6th, there is a lead story on Yahoo from a German publication, Der Spiegel, where it says Biden considers stepping aside from Michelle Obama in the 2024 race. So it says this summer, President Joe Biden may consider stepping out of the presidential race in favor of endorsing Michelle Obama, former First Lady and wife of ex-President Barack Obama. This, according to a report by Der Spiegel on May 5th. That's May 5th. So the U.S. Democratic Party is considering the possibility that Biden may announce his decision in August of 24 at a party convention where? In Chicago. So I think what they're doing is, you're right, they're downplaying Biden's role. In other words, they're saying he's kind of time to retire. They're soft pedaling him out. Michelle has been in the limelight. She's been in front of the camera, both from Netflix productions as well as interviews. She has been known in recent months to look more presidential, say things that are more politically strong, that the left is going to embrace, and probably some of the moderates. She will run on various issues, whether it's abortion, whether it's and I like to think this is that the borders. I mean, how do you justify the borders? Well, they justify them by allowing the fact that more people can come in, do work, do this. They always have a justification for the means of which that that they start and the effects thereof that it causes. So she's probably being done in such a way that's going to give her a really strong platform. People are going to adhere to what she says. They're going to find her very credible. She's very popular. My personal belief is that she would have a tip, as in basketball, a tip that ball in favor of her team by her running, and that tip may be enough to get her into not just the race based on the numbers that they're reporting, or at least they're understanding, but I think that they're going to put her in. She's not probably wanting to go, or maybe she is, but right now the sense is she's not going to run. She doesn't want to, but we know this: they will not lose. Eyes are going to be on the ballots. Eyes are going to be on anything else that could partake in cheating or thereof. And I just know this, that at the end of the day, if, and I say if, she runs, I think she's got a good chance of winning the entire thing, because she'll pull from the RFK people. She'll pull from people that don't want to vote for Trump, but they may just out of pure whatever reasons, but they don't want to. And this may give the tip back to her. So that's how I see it, Mandy. What's your thoughts on it?
The Hard Asset Money Show will be right back after a word from our sponsor. Let's take a look at how the rare coin market has skyrocketed in the past 2 to 3 years, specifically proof gold, and how their performance has done after Christian Briggs, CEO of Hard Asset Management, put an immediate buy recommendation in late 2019 on United States proof gold. Specifically $20 St. Gaudens gold pieces, $20, $10, and $5 Liberty proof gold, and $10 and $5 Indian Head proof gold. A 1933 $20 St. Gaudens grade MS65 was valued at $6.5 million in May 2021. Today, it is valued at $22.5 million. An 1864 $20 Liberty Head DCAM Proof 67 was valued at $1 million in October 2021. Today, it is valued at $2,750,000.
Yeah, I think that the Democrat Party they're more of a machine. And so if remember the machine ordained Biden, he was losing to Bernie Sanders leading up to the 2020 election. And they decided in South Carolina, essentially, the machine, so the main donors and the powers that be, they decided that Biden was going to be the guy. And they did the whole Biden basement strategy, which ultimately got them into the White House. I will say that. They will run polls. They're looking at what people care about. They're looking at all of this, and they're going to try to change things. And this Michelle Obama, people have been talking about it for a long time. Christian, I remember the first time that you brought it up in front of a group, there were lots of like, that's crazy. But they will go do crazy lengths to maintain their grip on power, and they have so much at stake. It's not just their policies at stake. It's people bending the law, abusing important positions of authority to advance the leftist agenda, and you're seeing it increasingly increment on interfere with the freedom and independence of small businesses, of everyday people, of your financial transactions, of your ability to have access to affordable, reliable energy. We go on and on and on, all these sorts of things, but there's a lot at stake. And they know that. And they also know that if Trump comes back in, he's got people around him. I'm a part of a team that has been thinking strategically about what does the next conservative administration look like. And the experience that I had, there's wisdom and experience, and sharing that with whoever's going to go back in and do the hard work. And it is very excruciatingly difficult work. I can attest to that. We could have a whole episode on that. But whoever's going to go in and ultimately do that, I want to make sure that I share the wisdom that I have from the experience I had. Some things you only learn by going through it, that they are equipped with that information so that there is not lost time and that we can be effective on day one. And this is what the left is looking at. They've bent the law to do their will, and they want to get away with that. And then number two, they know people coming back in have a plan and are coming from a position of experience and motivation to get this country back on the right path, and that we have a leader, President Trump, who is not afraid to do the hard thing, and he's already conveyed it in many ways. And the only other thing I'll add, Christian, is swapping out Michelle Obama. I think you're right in your read for the type of voters that would ultimately pull. It will change the landscape that we're currently looking at, which isn't that great for the Democrat Party and team and the leftists. And then also they're over time trying to register illegals to vote. One of the most egregious examples I've seen of this is the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, has received billions of dollars from Congress for purposes of advancing environmental justice, whatever that means. Well, to the left, it means getting illegals registered to vote so that the Democrat Party can stay in power. And there are EPA grant dollars that were supposedly set aside for environmental justice that are being used for that very purpose.
100%.
I think it's really important for us to stay focused on the policy differences between these two competing, parties for power, right? And so, some of the people I hear criticism of the personalities of people, but I think that it's really for us to stand the test of time. I think we've got to rise above that and say, well, what is the position? What is the platform? What do they actually stand for? And I think we are all in agreement that the marketplace of free ideas is what has made America great, what has really liberated the entire world. I'm so grateful for each of you and your leadership and all that you're doing to influence our culture, because I know that there's a lot of conversations that triggers into the economy, CBDC, and so on, which we will have an amazing time talking about in the coming weeks and months. So stay tuned, everybody. Christian, any final words as we close up and wrap for today? And we look forward to doing this on a regular basis. So any final words before we wrap?
Well, when you look at the things that I've talked about the last 4 or 5 years in podcasting in the last 2.5 years, I guess now, and then Mandy has been such an important part of information and kind of putting it all into context. She has even a more eloquent way of saying it than I do. I just basically say, we can't put this woman in the White House. You just cannot. You cannot. Her values do not align with a lot of the values that this country was built on. And Mandy was firsthand knowledge of that, being formerly in the White House. But we're going to continue to put forth the information and let people then determine if that information is useful, that helps them, guides them, gives them insight. I always said this before. They used to laugh at Noah while he built the ark until it started really raining. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, that guy may know something. So we know we're right about this. We know for a fact that central bank digital currency, smart contracts, all the things that they're trying to digitize, all the trying to do to strategize to win the election, it's all part of the Great Reset. There is an absolute, I would say it's madness, but it's not to them. It's a method of the way they think government should run the people. Barack Obama said it about 10 years ago, and he says you need one sovereign government. And he meant that as a global platform when he was saying it on a global platform. So we know we're right about this. And we know we've been right about the hard asset market, because I think gold's up, silver's up, coins are up the last 3, 4, 5 years. It's been phenomenal. And that is a precursor to what we're witnessing. In other words, you don't buy hard assets when times are in a certainty of economic prosperity. It goes up prior to an economic collapse or a lack or trust in government policy. And that's what people need to realize. If you get Michelle in there, and I'm going to let Mandy finish this one last part. If you get Michelle in there and you understand the ideology of the left, it's gotten so far left that I don't know, some of them have lost sight of it. So I'm going to leave it at that. And Mandy, your final words for you as well.
Yeah, I would just say, look, this is an evolving landscape. I wouldn't put anything past the Democrats. They will pull out all the tricks. They will try to tip the scales in their favor. I've seen them do this with regulations. I've seen them do this with negotiating backroom deals on Capitol Hill. And we have all seen a piece of it, whether we realized it or not, in how they try to influence outcomes in the elections. And so we'll stay on top of it. We'll bring these stories to light. They may not be headline news on some of the mainstream media, but we're paying attention, and we look forward to continuing this conversation as we get into the thick of this election season.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Christian, for your insight, your wisdom, your clarity, being at the tip of the spear on a very important topic. And thanks for everybody viewing today. And we look forward to you joining us in the coming weeks ahead and months ahead. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.